There are two core lessons every single real estate agent can learn from Steve Jobs to generate more leads and grow their real estate business. For the first one, we need to take a time machine back to 1997. Back then, the company was about to be done. It was at the brink of bankruptcy. It was a situation where Apple would not exist today. It was this close. But what happened then is that Steve Jobs got back to the company. So he was actually forced out of the company back in 1985. And when he came back in 1997, he noticed that the products the company had, they were going in 18 different directions. There was all sorts of computers, all sorts of widgets, everything but basically that could be done was done.
What happened was you look at the farm that's been created with all these different animals going in different directions, and it doesn't add up. The total is less than the sum of the parts.
So what Steve Jobs did is that he went to his managers and he asked the managers that which of these products should my friends buy. When the managers did not know the answer to that question, what happened was that the Steve Jobs got to work and he reduced the company's product line by 70%. And the main reason for that is that the company's products weren't adding up. It didn't make any sense and they were less than the sum of their parts. What Steve Jobs understood was this one key thing, which was focus. The company's products had to support each other and together they'd be greater than the sum of their parts. So all the decisions Steve Jobs was making back in the day were focused only on one thing, which was company's survival. And obviously these days everybody virtually has a MacBook, everybody virtually has an iPhone, and the reason for that is because after he made those decisions, Apple went on a significant upswing, and today Apple was one of the most valuable companies in the world, valued at over $2.5 trillion. So what can you learn from this as a real estate agent? Well, most people, they think that having a successful strategy means having a lot of different things. Things like buying leads from Zillow, running Facebook ads, it can be things like cold calling, FISBOs, expireds, trying to do circle prospecting, hiring an ISA, trying to do TikToks, and so on and so forth. And really, a lot of these things are actually great things. I mean, TikTok is a great marketing channel. I mean, cold calling is a great way to start up your business. But at the end of the day, these are all just tactics. These are not strategy. And there's a very, very fine line between that, because if you have a lot of tactics, just like Apple had back in 1997, that means that you're doing exactly what Apple was doing that led Apple to the brink of bankruptcy. So most people, they're doing 101 different things without looking at the main thing, which is to have one cohesive strategy where all the elements are lining up together. But at the end of the day, it is a little bit like Sun Tzu said, a strategy without tactics is the slowest route to victory. Tactics without strategy is just noise before defeat. If your goal is to generate more listings and grow your GCI, don't try to maximize the tactics that you use, because what it does is that it's only going to be noise before your defeat. What you need to do instead is get your marketing process, get your marketing to solve one key problem, which is getting listings. Now, what do you need to get more listings? Well, you need listing appointments. Well, what do you need to get listing appointments? You need homeowners who want to sell their house, and you need homeowners to want to work with you and hire you specifically to sell their house. But how do you get homeowners that want to work with you specifically? How do you create that situation where homeowners want to work with you instead of anybody else? Well, that leads to our second lesson we can learn from Steve Jobs.
This is a very complicated world. It's a very noisy world. We're not going to get a chance to get people to remember much about us. And so we have to be really clear on what we want them to know about us. The way to do that is not to talk about speeds and feeds. It's not to talk about MIPS and megahertz. It's not to talk about why we're better than Windows. Marketing's about values.
If you want to become that local go-to real estate agent, the person everybody wants to work with, and grab that market share for yourself, the way to do that is not to talk about more houses or talk about commissions or talk about the economy, interest rates, or why you're better than your competitor. It's not to pay $100 a month for an automated social media company. It's not to use KV Core to use drip campaigns. It is also not going to be running the usual Facebook ads everybody out there is running right now. What you need to do instead is that you need to get your clients and you need to give them what they need. People, they want to know who you are, what do you value, and what do you stand for. Find answers to these questions and you'll be able to meaningfully differentiate yourself from everybody else in the marketplace. But most importantly, you'll be able to cultivate relationships with thousands and thousands of local homeowners through your marketing. In other words, you need to build a personal brand locally. That's the baseline for everything else. Now, how do you implement these two core lessons on a practical, micro, day-to-day level? Well, first, pick a method to generate leads and pick a method to generate local market awareness and attention. Second, pick a method to generate desire in the homeowners' minds. Pick a method to get homeowners really want to work with you specifically instead of shoving your service down their throats. Get people to really know who you are. Get people to know what do you value. Get people to know what do you stand for when it comes down to yourself, not just your real estate business, but yourself. Build your credibility and also get people to understand that you understand their problems better than they understand themselves, and they're gonna think that your service is exactly what they need. Now, if you do the first two right, people will come to you by themselves. They'll come to you, ask for your help, and really ask you, obviously, at the end of the day for a listing appointment. And of course, if you wanna scale fast, you don't wanna just be waiting around, just waiting for business to come to you. Of course, you still want to do the follow-up, but now that's going to work so much and so much better once you have done these two core things correctly in your marketing. So make sure every marketing activity, everything from start to finish, is in alignment with each other and is supporting each other in that specific alignment we just discussed. And make sure it's not separate with everything else, but it's really focused on that one key thing, pushing people step by step to that path, eventually to work with you into moving to the dream house or leaving the house they no longer want to be in. So everything else you do in your marketing, it is really just noise before defeat.